Cultivating an adaptive mindset, how leaders can best prepare themselves and their organizations for today's VUCA world. Abstract, in an increasingly volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous VUCA world, organizations face unprecedented levels of change and unpredictability. This article examines why cultivating an adaptive mindset is essential for effective leadership in such environments. Drawing on extensive research, the authors define an adaptive mindset as encompassing openness to learning, tolerance for ambiguity, comfort with change, and resilience in the face of setbacks. The paper presents evidence-based strategies for developing adaptability at both individual leadership and organizational culture levels, including seeking diverse experiences, reflective practices, soliciting honest feedback, and modeling adaptive behaviors. Additionally, it outlines approaches for building organizational adaptability through structured learning processes, rewarding experimentation, fostering psychological safety, building tolerance for ambiguity, and measuring appropriate metrics. The authors conclude that leaders who intentionally develop these capabilities position themselves and their organizations to thrive amid constant change and uncertainty. The world today is increasingly volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, a reality often referred to as a VUCA world. Organizations are faced with more change, greater ambiguity, and an even faster pace than ever before. With so much unpredictability and flux, leaders must cultivate an adaptive mindset both in themselves and in their teams and organizations if they hope to effectively navigate this new reality and thrive. Today we will explore the research foundation for why an adaptive mindset is critical in today's VUCA world. What is an adaptive mindset? Key research insights before delving into how leaders can cultivate an adaptive mindset. It is important to first define what exactly is meant by this term. According to organizational scholars, an adaptive mindset incorporates several key attributes: openness to learning. Those with an adaptive mindset see themselves and their organizations as perpetual works in progress. They embrace feedback and opportunities to improve. Daru, Nagang, Hollenbeck, and Workman, 2012. Tolerance for ambiguity, rather than becoming overwhelmed by uncertainty. Those with adaptability are comfortable with ambiguity and do not feel the need for complete clarity or control. Poulikos, Orod, Donovan, and Plumone-Dawn, 2000. Comfort with change. Adaptive individuals and organizations readily adjust to changing expectations and conditions. They do not cling rigidly to past ways of doing things. Heslin, Vanderwall, and Latham, 2006. Resilience. When faced with setbacks or failures, the adaptive mindset fosters resilience through flexibility, continual learning, and a growth mindset. Youssef and Luthans, 2007. Research across multiple domains has demonstrated that cultivating these attributes in leaders, teams, and organizational culture is pivotal for effectively navigating VUCA environments. However, developing an adaptive mindset runs counter to many hardwired human instincts and is difficult to foster at scale. The following sections will explore practical ways leaders can overcome these challenges. Cultivating adaptability in leaders. Building the right leadership team is critical for organizational adaptability. Leaders must first strengthen their own adaptive mindsets if they hope to develop this capability broadly. Several proven approaches can help cultivate an adaptive orientation in leaders. Seek out diverse experiences. Research shows experiences that challenge existing mindsets, such as international assignments, lateral career moves, or joining a startup later in life, can be highly effective for strengthening adaptability. McCall and Hollenbeck, 2002. Leaders should proactively seek out novel, diverse responsibilities that force them to question assumptions and adapt. Reflect through journaling. Consistently journaling about successes, failures, new lessons learned, and how one's thinking has evolved over time helps solidify an adaptive mindset. Krishock, Black, and McKay, 2009. The CEO of medical supply startup MedTech utilizes journaling to reflect on pivots required to adapt offerings to the evolving COVID-19 pandemic. Solicit honest, bracing feedback, surrounding oneself with direct reports and peers willing to provide candid, potentially uncomfortable feedback trains leaders to be comfortable with criticism and view difficulties as learning experiences rather than threats. Deru and Wellman. 2009. The CFO at a major accounting firm conducts yearly 360 reviews and meets one-on-one with each reviewer to get unfiltered feedback. Model adaptive behavior. Leaders must walk the walk, not just talk the talk. Demonstrating flexibility, continual learning, and resilience in the face of challenges inspires these behaviors in others. Wallumbwa. Christensen and Haley, 2011. During economic downturns, the COO of an auto supplier reorganized teams around new priorities and roles, signaling the need to adapt. Cultivating adaptability through such developmental experiences and behaviors establishes leaders equipped to foster a culture of adaptability more broadly within their organizations. Developing an adaptive culture for organizations to achieve vibrant adaptability at scale. Leaders must instill an adaptive culture where these attributes are hardwired into how the organization operates. Several practices can aid this cultural evolution. Create structure for learning. Organizations need to find ways for teams to capture lessons from successes and failures, and to share these learnings across silos. Companies like design firm IDEO institutionalize learning through post-project reviews, where each team analyzes what went well and improvements for the future. Martin. 2007. Reward experimentation to overcome risk aversion. Adaptive cultures must incentivize and celebrate attempts at innovation, even if all experiments do not succeed. At Netflix, employees are encouraged to spend 20% of their time on pet projects, with no consequences for failures. Lucas, 2021. Foster psychological safety for people to adapt and learn. They must feel safe admitting mistakes or unpopular ideas without fear of reprisal. Google's Project Aristotle found strong psychological safety, where employees respected each other and felt secure being vulnerable, was key to adaptive team dynamics. Dewig, 2016. Build tolerance for ambiguity, challenging employees outside their comfort zones through unstructured problem-solving or unresolved strategic discussions. Builds confidence operating amid ambiguity. Amazon routinely assigns cross-functional, shadow teams to tackle open-ended challenges. Moya. 2012. Measure the right metrics to reinforce adaptability. Stop over-focusing on short-term financial measures and begin tracking progress on cultural attributes like team learning, experimentation, and growth. Zappos evaluates leaders not just on sales but on fostering employee happiness and well-being. Heskett et al. 2008. Instituting such adaptive practices and measures generates organizational DNA primed for thriving within uncertain environments. Conclusion: the VUCA world demands that leaders and their organizations cultivate a robust adaptive capability if they hope to successfully navigate constant change and unpredictability. While an adaptive mindset runs counter to many default human instincts, leaders and organizations can overcome these hardwired barriers through practical steps. For the individual leader, actively seeking diverse experiences, journaling, soliciting candid feedback, and modeling adaptability strengthen key attributes. Meanwhile, creating structures for learning, incentivizing experimentation, fostering psychological safety, tolerating ambiguity, measuring the right metrics, and more help ingrain adaptability at a cultural level. Leaders who take these steps to strengthen their own and their organization's capacity for perpetual learning and improvement prime themselves to thrive within today's uncertain world.